Okay, I'd like to call to order the Fire District Board meeting of June 21st. Can we start with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Beckman,
Here.
Aldrich,
Here.
Fox,
Here.
Verplank,
Here.
Phelps,
Here.
Pullen,
Here.
Miller is absent with notice. Janik,
I'm a non-voting member, but I am here.
okay, and then looks like Peter is also present as well now. So that's all, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, could you please remember to turn off your cell phones and try to not text during the meeting? That's against the Open Meetings Act. Could we have approval of the agenda, please? Are there any additions or deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda of June 21st, 2021.
I'll second.
A motion by Pullen and a second by, was that you, Scott?
Yes.
By Phelps. Is there any discussion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Pullen,
Yes.
Phelps,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Fox. Fox.
I saw his lips move.
Oh. I still didn't hear him, but okay.
Yes.
Verplank. Oh, there we go. And Verplank
Yes,
passes 6-0, ma'am.
thank you. Moving on, we have the approval of the minutes of the May 17th meeting.
I'll make a motion. Go ahead, Drew.
No, go ahead, Phil. Or Scott, I mean, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 17th.
Okay, I have a second, please.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Phelps and a second by Pullen to approve the May 17th minutes. Is there any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Pullen,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
and Verplank
Yes.
passes 6-0, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to public comment. Is there any public comment? Chris, if you see anybody,
The only two I see on here are Eric and David Blatt, and so far neither of them are making any motion to comment. So
thank you. All right, moving on, can we have requests for payments? Have a motion for the accounts payable, please.
I'll make a motion to pay the accounts payable of $102,265.75.
I'll support.
A motion by Phelps and support by Eric Beckman to pay the bills in the amount of $102,265.75. Is there any discussion? Is there any questions?
The only question I've got is for, let's see, where was it now? It was something for the boat. $1,300 from, where'd it go? Southside Body Fabrication for $21.92.
We had a number of cleats that the boat builder didn't complete the tie-offs for the boat. We had to finish those, and there had to be more to it than that.
there was the wire raceway on the ceiling, and then the seat for the wheelhouse.
And there were there were also bills for the new Dodge truck. So the actual boat cost was $480, probably about only $800 of the $1,800.
I'm just curious what it was for.
Thanks, Peter, for clarifying that,
Question two.
Chris.
Who or what is Zorro, Z-O-R-O supplies? Just out of curiosity.
The online source. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, they're basically a sister company to Granger, so yeah, it's just an online vendor that you can buy just about anything through. And they're cost competitive to Amazon more often than not.
Oh, okay, thank you.
For
I got a question about the gasoline and diesel. We use, what Dunes fuel? Now we're using Shell. Any reason for that?
It's just the Shell gas card that we're using, Eric. We subscribe to a service where the taxes are deducted. The accounting is so much easier. We don't get all these hand receipts. Everyone has a password. They have to put in the password, and it's just a service. We go to Dunesview. We don't go to Shell. We can go anywhere we want. That recognizes that system.
Okay,
It's much more versatile than being limited to any one particular service station.
good, thank you.
I have a question about the billing on 2192. Were these add-ons or were these things that weren't completed on the boat? I guess the boat came without a seat. I don't know.
Correct. The boat came out of the seat. We were standing at the helm, so we were trying to figure out what to do, and subsequently we had to use it, put it in the service, and determine what we needed. So it's kind of an evolving project.
So will we get reimbursed for some of this stuff or not?
He didn't charge us for it.
Oh, all right, okay. Just- Okay, anybody else?
Jane,
Yes,
I'm assuming that though, from the discussion we had, I think a couple of meetings back, that where are they now? The washer and dryer, that's the turnout equipment washer and dryer, is that correct?
Correct.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's the down payment, or the 50% down for the FEMA grant order.
anybody else? Okay, could we have a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Phelps,
Yes.
Beckman,
Yes,
Aldrich,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes,
Pullen,
Yes,
and Verplank.
Yes.
Passes 6-0, ma'am.
Moving on. Do we have a financial report, Peter?
Sure. So overall, on the revenue side, we've collected everything we budgeted. There's another $26,000 of revenue. A lot of it's came from, we got the second half of the federal grant finally came in of almost $19,000, and there's some extra short-term rental inspection fees and a sale of the boat trailer. And on the expense side, we still got a month of the payroll for the month of June for the paid on call. And I got 2 more payrolls for the careers. But overall, we've only expended 92%, which was budgeted on the expense side. And because of the special meeting on Thursday, we'll have a budget adjustment to wrap the year in. Otherwise, if it wasn't for the special meeting, we'd have had one today. But I told Chris just to put it on with the public hearing that got pushed back to Thursday. So we'll also have a budget adjustment to square everything up for the current budget. But overall, unless there's some other large outstanding bills that I haven't seen yet, we're in decent shape depending on what the call volume is for the month of June. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Pete?
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
thanks, Peter.
Moving on to fire chief comments. Your turn, Greg.
Good afternoon, Fire Board. So basically for the Fire Board, we're up about 8%. We got hammered 2 weekends ago. We did what, 17 calls? And where normally we would have done maybe about eight calls. Very significant. It was a very tough weekend. So we're up about 8%, which is something you'd want to report to your municipalities. Scrolling through, we're still, Friday has not kicked in as a busy day of the week. I expect that to change once July comes around. Next on this, during the day remains always the busiest time. Okay, overlapping calls are at 18. I think you're going to find out in June, you're going to see some significant overlapping calls. We had 3 calls going at one time at one point. And you had some canceled calls. I think Eric highlighted that. That's in the summary. I won't go over that unless specifically asked. We also showed the property values that Eric and I wanted to make sure we shared with the board as far as property values for the natural gas leak that occurred in the alleyway of Bodie's Chop House and 220 Culver Street. So there's listed there. And there's a history of the gas leaks that we had. We just had another one today on a duplex, on a somebody putting in a fence in that hit a gas line. You know, pretty much a factor with what we do. Those are listed. You'll see property values down here, square foot of buildings, always on the conservative side. We don't try to embellish anything. Next up, what you're going to be interested in here is the fire on Water Street on Incipient that was caught by a very keen crew in the lower level of a building. It was a very hard fire to detect. And the cluster of buildings together is significant. That's reflected in the property values. Next, please. This
There it
just
is.
shows you where this started burning. It actually triggered the fire alarm system. The fire alarm system was not mandatory. The property owner put that in on their own. This is the second time this fire alarm system has been activated due to incipient fires. So it did its job. And it's in a very precarious place downtown. So there's no doubt that that fire alarm system saved that corner. So something I thought the board would be interested in. And we are rapidly catching up to the number of incidents on motor vehicle accidents. You can see from this, we're at number 36, and that will be climbing. June's been a very challenging time for this. Just shows the month detail. Vehicle fires, nothing new there. Special events, self-explanatory. What you'll see is a new slide on planning. For example, 4th of July is probably preparation. You can see 11 hours, and there'll be more hours added on to that. A lot of planning involved with the upcoming 4th of July, as there should be. And that just shows marine responses. If there's no questions, I will move on. Response times are good at just over 5 minutes. Actually, stellar response times.
Hey, Greg, quick question. Do we put that on the website? Those reports?
I tell you, we do inconsistently, Eric, and that's something I want to put on the state of Michigan fire fatalities, and I want to put on the incident reports. Since it goes to all the jurisdictions I sent it to all the city managers. That was my communication, but it should go on the website. It's just been the timing, Eric. It's no excuse, but I will make a note.
Even if it's quarterly, I think it'd be nice to, if you can't quite do it every month, you know, you guys' time is very valuable.
Well, I used to have Erin Wilkinson do that, but I no longer have her.
Right.
So, and I don't want to layer another responsibility onto Chris or anyone else. So I'll get it done.
It's pretty easy to do if you'd like that, so.
Yes, consider that a request, please.
I can make that happen.
Thanks. Moving on, I sent the board a very interesting road construction report. I really think this would pique your interest. This was shared to me with Captain Linus Starring. Road construction accidents increase even as COVID-19 keeps drivers away. Highlights of this: traffic. You would think that traffic has decreased, but the problem is the traffic crashes are not descending. They're actually increasing. In 2020, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported 7 more people were killed on US roadways, even though Americans drove 13% fewer miles. When you think about it, that's a staggering statistic. People are driving too fast, and more unexpected road closures as construction ramped up caused more work zone crashes. Further, speeding has really come to the forefront during COVID, according to the senior director of the Governor's Highway Safety Association. In work zones, the worst thing that can happen is driving too fast. In Michigan, motorists struck 3 county employees and a state contractor in a single week, killing 2 of them. 5 workers were killed on Michigan roads in 2020, up from 2 in 2019, even as traffic decreased between 20 and 60% per MDOT. That is unacceptable per MDOT, who agrees that people are driving faster and more recklessly than before the pandemic. Again, speeding and distracted driving have increasingly been the biggest problems for road worker safety and will continue to be even as the pandemic subsides. So what are they doing about it? Basically trying to add police when police are available. That's always kind of tricky in our area. Also, you're trying to separate the workers from the traffic. I can tell you from extricating somebody on a highway, we did part of it from another lane of ongoing traffic. It was an absolute cluster with 196. I will be sharing with the board a video that shows us being dispatched to Gansey's on a 5-car accident with a helicopter in the air. They asked us in South Haven to help. And you will see the dash cam footage of us trying to get through on the Blue Star Trail. It was difficult for the crew. We were at a standstill at a couple of points because there's nowhere for the traffic to go. The roadway is much better after the modification of the Blue Star Trail, but it certainly adds to the anxiety of trying to have a quick response to wherever we're going, considering the traffic that has occurred on our roadways. I thought you'd be interested to hear that.
Craig,
Yes, sir.
one of the things in the article they mentioned, and I've noticed, really I think this year for the first time in some of the construction zones, are the temporary rub strips, bump strips, whatever you want to call them, ahead of the, so that you get the car, because people they zone out. That's part of the problem too. They're tired or whatever, and they zone out. And at least those bump strips cause your head to go up and going, what the hell, pay attention kind of thing. I'm wondering if those, because the statistics, I mean, they're absolutely chilling for anybody who's actually out on that highway. I mean, workers, and you guys are at various times out there. are those things, or is there something like that that would be available on, to deploy on an as needed kind of immediate basis, as opposed to something, I'm assuming what they use now is in place sort of semi-permanently and probably takes somebody days to get it right or whatever. I'm thinking of something that, something that.
I'm working on that now, Dan, asking for input from MDOT and the contractor. Whatever tools we need to beat this thing, they need to do. And I'm working on that now. It's a very good point.
It's as dangerous to be from these numbers and stories, it's dangerous to be a highway flagger as to be in frickin' Afghanistan.
Friday afternoon, police asked us to shut down the roadway. There was a high-speed pursuit that started in Ann Arbor and ended on Blue Star I-196 bridge.
Wow. Oops.
You had tribal police, state police, Michigan, state police, Douglas, everything, county. It all ended on the Kalamazoo Bridge.
Greg, to clarify, it sounded like you said Ann Arbor. I think it was Benton Harbor.
Yes.
A little bit of difference.
Yeah, you're correct. I always get those two confused. Benton Harbor,
Oh, no.
somewhere down south.
Well, they're a little different.
Yeah, they are quite different. Yeah. it was Benton Harbor.
I'll let the board know about the rumble strips when I get an answer. Next on the agenda, under the community risk reduction category, share with the board, there's been 59 fatal fires out of 54 fires year to date. I am really happy to report with you, Chris, thanks for putting that on the screen, a really neat association or organization, 501c3, Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We merely provided the site, worked with this great agency to do something as simple as building beds. We provided extension cords. They did all the work. I think individuals that volunteered funded all the equipment necessary for this. I think they built 20 beds in the short time they were here. So I think it's a very noteworthy cause that I wanted to share with the board. And our own Janelle from Elgin County Sheriff's Office was the main driver for this and reached out to us. Next up, I have a report: rental inspections, business, fire and life safety surveys, plan reviews. I'm happy to report to the board from May 17th to June 17th. Our inspectors have conducted 101 short-term rental inspections.
Good, good.
101.
A lot.
Re-inspections, 3.
Yeah.
Business, hotel, fire, and life safety surveys, 9. Plan reviews, 21. Construction inspections and meetings that we tracked, 11. There were some we didn't write down. Pretty significant. Also, you'll see the revenue, as Peter mentioned. It will also, you'll be receiving revenue for that.
Did we run into any problems with any of those inspections?
Nothing we couldn't work out, Drew.
Oh, good.
All worked
Good,
out.
good. That's good to hear.
Greg, could I get the number for business, fire, and life safety?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So business, hotel, fire, and life safety surveys, 9. We call them surveys rather than inspections. Plan reviews, 21. Construction meetings, 11. Okay, next up, House Bill 4722, Senate Bill 446. As you know, those bills were proposed to eliminate local jurisdiction and control. I'm
Yeah.
happy to report that the opposition, everyone fought hard for this, and new language has been proposed. A lot of people helped out with this. Our very own Deputy Chief Chris Mannels did a, well, shall we say, an informational commercial for MML. They contacted me. I had a conflict with a meeting, so I had Chris do it. All this helped with local support on give that to us.
Yes,
Let us control that. So happy to report new language is proposed.
good.
Next up, grants. I believe this was mentioned. Just wanted to let you know, through some great efforts of Peter and Chris, he got almost another $19,000. That helps out the taxpayers. Big thank yous to Lake Vista Super Value, who provides water for us, for state police, Allegan County Sheriff, and any other fire department that wants it. Next up, canvas cover for a monitor that shoots water. It's a hose stream monitor, a very expensive one on the fireboat. My first estimate was $800. I got one of the canvas companies to donate that free of charge.
Oh, good job.
Noteworthy, thank you. And Jane, that includes my chief's comments. I had one thing, if I may, Jane, mention about Old Allegan Road and Blue Star.
Please.
Is it okay, Jane?
That's fine.
Yes. So I was at a meeting today at the township and had several people echo the concern for Blue Star Highway and Old Allegan Road. Really, in a way, is no reason to have that many incidents there. We had another one, as you know, Monday morning, pretty severe. Maybe you saw it in the commercial record, maybe you didn't. So great support. Somebody actually had signs made to call attention to that, like real estate signs that were put there. I believe Dan Fox knows about that. So I'll leave it at that. All this is going to help. This is what it's about, community risk reduction. And I think this community wants to know these things, and they are definitely in favor of, let's look at this. And the township, I think, passed a resolution to investigate and have a traffic study, what can be done about minimizing or reducing the incidents at Old Allegan Road and Blue Star. And that concludes my chief's comments, Jane.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. We have a report on the subpoena lawsuit update.
Yeah, if Stacy wants to jump in here, Stacy, I don't want to speak out of line. I believe there's a proposed settlement. What do you want to share?
Right. Well, we're going in, we've decided, the best thing we could do. I just lost my screen. That's what I'm searching around for. I don't know what happened. We're talking about the band or the water ski place, right?
Yeah.
I just lost everything. Yeah, I can't see anything. Yeah, we reached a settlement that we're going to put in an 8-inch pipe and do a special assessment for the residents there to pay for it. So that's good. Hopefully in the future, we'll loop it in and expand it to a 12-inch and do the looping ways down the road. But we're going to have 7 fire hydrants in that area, and kind of excited that we came to an agreement with this project, because it's been a long drawn out thing. And I hope, I know that everybody in their dream world wanted the 12-inch looped in, but right now this is the best we can do. So I hope the fire department can work with us with that.
You bet, Stacy. Thank you very much for all the efforts on getting a settlement in place. So I hope to move forward on this as soon as possible. We're grateful to the township for working with us on this. So thank you. Then moving on, the next thing was, we were asked about the building expansion, kind of a general, hey, what are we going to do? I had brought this to the officers in June, and there were 2 things that were asked. can we get a copy of the survey for the lot to the south, which is in your packet, I believe. You'll see that survey. And then you will also see the results of the officers' meeting. So quite frankly, we had a proposal to discuss about building to the north, a 2-story. The consensus was expand to the south if we decide to expand, not the north. You definitely want to add city sewer and water. I hope the whole fire board knows we're on a septic field. I'll leave it at that. You definitely would want to go 2-story addition, not a single story. You'd want to add sprinkler systems. You'll actually be required to put a sprinkler system in the new addition. You should also do the existing building, and you would do that with a water main from either across Blue Star or from Maple. Price it out both ways. It might be cheaper to bore underneath Blue Star than to run it all the way from Maple. Explore the purchase of the Peterson building. That's a storage building that's west of our property to the south. The other thing I think we should consider is, can we get an easement from Peterson just to drive on the property? And that's something I've approached him on, talked to him twice. So he's actually talking with a consultant about the feasibility of an easement to drive across there if the board decides an expansion needs to be funded.
You wanted to, if you wanted to expand to the south there, wouldn't you have to buy that where the driveway is from Peterson?
Our driveway was supposed to be moved. We have an easement. That easement right next to the fire department was supposed to go and adjoin down by DPW.
On the other end?
Yes. But you know, when you look at it, there wasn't a need. So Chief Block, you know, said, hey, why spend the money? He had a point. But it's supposed to be down where Chris's cursor is.
Yeah, yeah. So that would be, you'd want to buy the easement we have now.
So the easement would be the gravel area, Scott,
Okay, okay.
because you'd want to drive through. You can't pull on a Blue Star and back in there. You
No.
want to pull through truck bay. So the first floor would be apparatus bays. Possibly if we go to BLS, which is basic life support, 2 ambulances that transport. And then the second floor would be probably offices. And then we turn into the existing training room. That would be more dormitory. So just throwing some things out. It's also a good investment to go with a 2-story. Then it covers
Where would the
everything.
meeting room be?
Probably the meeting room would be above the new addition. Well, that's not true. We want to do the meeting room on the first floor for ADA.
Yes, good. Thank
Right.
you.
I stand corrected.
I'm gonna say, I'm not sure where we're at. I'm not sure what exactly what point we're at, but at some point, we ought to be thinking about commissioning some sort of professional study, analysis, you know, rough ideas or whatever. Ideally, first, some sort of, you know, what's needed, what's best or whatever. And again, from some, you know, hopefully reasonably authoritative, experienced architectural firm, municipal architectural firm, something like that, so that we could present that to the constituencies, and rather than having it be simply a product of the group of people here. It makes sense.
It's a good point, Dan. You know, I don't know where we enter the consultants arena or not. Meeting the needs of the community. I can just share with you that I can come up with we actually have some in-house drawings. We can tell you it's a figure about $300 a square foot. We can do some projections, but as far as designing and all that, we'd have to engage a consultant and an architect to come up with some
Yes.
renderings. And what are the needs? What level of service do our residents want from us? And one of the triggers, in my opinion, is, do we want to start transporting? Do
What do
we
you
want
mean?
to, and not with paramedics, but that's one of the things that I think ultimately, my opinion is, we're going to end up transporting. You're going to have less and less ambulance availability. If you want to start ALS, advanced life support, you're talking 6 paramedics. You're talking about a huge payroll. You're talking a different licensing, different ambulances. In my opinion, there's no need to go with ALS. But get the people to the hospital if ALS is not available. We've already talked to several fire departments that have done this. That to me is something that the board's having to decide, do we want to go with basic life transport? And that will help with the expansion. But I think you're going to run out of paid on call firefighters in the future.
Yes.
You're going to deplete your pool of candidates. And instead of 1 person around the clock, there'll have to be 2 people around the clock. And when you start adding people into the dormitory room that is maxed out right now, those are things that trigger expansion.
But it would seem to me, if we're going to get in or consider getting into the ambulance business at any level with whatever resources, that one ought to go to the taxpayers. That evaluation is the wrong word. That authorization should go to the taxpayers. Otherwise, that's a major increase in mission, not conceived as part of the fire district mission up to this point. So to expand that mission, I think it's reasonable to ask the taxpayers to support that by a special millage proposal for that, whatever. Probably wouldn't give that huge a millage proposal, but again, it would keep it separate. And also, you fight it all the time, but nothing's free. And when people think they can consume services for free without, that's not a good situation. So it would be my 2 cents that, and I don't know whether I don't have any judgment on it because I don't have enough experience professionally on handling service or not, but in terms of adding to the mission, to me that almost requires that the taxpayers authorize it and pay for it.
That's why I think the board may want to entertain. Remember, we were going to ask that question in the monkey survey monkey, and we stopped that because the demands of COVID were just taking our time. So maybe in July or August, we do that survey, and one of those questions, and I think it stemmed from Eric, was, hey, do you want us to do this sort of thing? How do you feel about transport? Having the fire department engage in this. And maybe we ought to be revisiting, once we get back in-house meetings, we could bring that up in July or August.
Yeah, I think that's something we should put on the agenda. Definitely.
Well, I agree that we should bring this up, but we also need to bring up, there's a very large price to pay for this. And you have to make people
Yes.
understand that there will be a millage, and it'll be a big one to pay for this. Dan's right. Everybody thinks everything's free. This will not be free. I can tell you that right now.
No, I think the public needs to know that. I agree with you.
Well, Jane, I think that's why the 7 board members here shouldn't make that ultimate decision. And we go to the public, we have
Right.
surveys, we have a couple open forums, we see what the, test the waters.
I agree,
They, no, I don't want to pay
Yeah,
anymore, then status quo.
right. But I
Yeah,
think people
agree.
need to understand that it'll cost a lot more. And it's a big expansion to the fire department.
you have to ask that question. I don't think you can ask, would you like it? Because the answer to that is going to be yes.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Do you want to pay for it?
Exactly.
Right.
That's the question.
And
right.
actually have tangible numbers of what those estimated costs for the BLS transport and for the station addition would both be, so they know how much more their taxes they're going to be paying.
Exactly. Yes.
Not just those numbers. It has to be translated to millage.
Right, yes.
Personal, not your
It
neighbor.
has to be in layman's language.
So it's got to be for, and forgive me, because it's going to sound like I'm taking a shot and I really don't intend to. But some of the millages, when that cost gets conveyed, the agency in search of the millage intentionally, or I would say intentionally, minimizes the potential cost by comparing it, for example, to an average house price that's ridiculously below, for example, what Saugatuck has. So you almost need to say, if your taxes, you know, so you need some way to communicate to people. If we do this, it's going to cost you personally every year for however many years the millage will be authorized.
I mean, Dan, you want government to be transparent?
Yeah, it's going to cost more than an extra cup of coffee a week.
I mean, yeah, that's how the schools pass it all the time.
Absolutely.
Well, it took them a while last time.
It's called over.
But I agree with you, Dan.
Yeah, we really need to be very clear on what this is going to
Oh,
cost
yes.
the community. And
Yeah.
is there any personnel out there to do it? Okay, moving on. Is that all for that discussion? Moving on to new business. Our chief was awarded the Eagle Award by Allegan County as Volunteer of the Year.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pretty good pick.
I think that's exciting.
I was very humbled to even be nominated because there were many nominees, and even more humbled to be the recipient of the Eagle Award. I'm actually still kind of numb about it. So thank everyone for the support, the nominations. Yeah, Vicky and I are still numb about this whole thing. So thank you all.
Great picture considering what they had to work with.
It's a little windblown.
Nice guy, Dan.
We did that to make it look like he was doing something that day.
Oh,
Oh, oh.
so that was the fan? Okay.
Yes.
Moving on. Next month, we will be returning to in-person fire board meetings. I think we've run out of excuses. So we're going to have to come back to the station and be upfront and personal. Yeah, just all of you.
These receptions after each meeting on too.
Sure, why not? All right, moving on to correspondence.
The fire department was approached very short time frame from a New York film crew that wanted to do a story on Singapore, very much a historic thing. And it went to one of the city council members, it went to the historic people. And long story short, in a very short time frame, I turned this into a training session, and we burned a simulated model of a house, 6 feet by 6 feet, at Oval Beach, approved by city manager, and the film crew were perfect guests. And it was a tremendous training opportunity for us on the dunes. We had new people on the engines that control the pumps, and just a great way. And the crew was very, very appreciative, and the card is before you.
So when's the premiere gonna be in Saugatuck? Sometime this summer?
2022, Taru,
oh,
and
Sorry.
they are going to have it's going to be here. So the whole department, they claim, is going to be invited.
Oh, good,
We'll let you know.
great, thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep, I went and watched. It was very interesting, but it's always very interesting to watch them all in action. So moving on, is there any public comment? Don't see much public, so
You talk about the return to in-person meetings.
we did talk about that.
Well, just briefly, I thought maybe you might have more to say about it.
No, I got nothing to say.
Okay.
You?
Nope.
I have a question, Jane.
Yes.
Does the board want us to look into having in-person meetings, yet the ability to Zoom? Because that's an IT technical thing, and we would have to get somebody and get a quote on that.
If we were gonna do that, I think from what I've heard, secondhand, I guess, maybe not secondhand, Saugatuck is thinking about that. The city is thinking about that. And it's not a small expenditure to have the equipment to do that. So I'm wondering if we really feel that's necessary. Personally, I don't, but if we really feel that we need to offer that, if it might not make sense to have, you know, to lean on Saugatuck and have our meetings, you know, at City Hall where they would have that equipment in place. Ideally, we do it for free.
That's an idea, yeah. But on the other hand, we've had all these Zoom meetings. How many, we haven't had any public here Zoom in on our Zoom meetings. So I don't know if we really need it.
It's a good point. I don't want to really spend the time and get a report and look into this if the board's not receptive. I'm good with it. That's entirely up to you.
I think when we had this, whatever it was, I think Blue Star Trail issue, whatever it was a year ago, maybe more, you know, when there was some element of controversy and the room filled up nicely without Zoom before. So it does seem to me, just as Taru says, and in the past, all the time we have had Zoom, to be honest, we're looking at the same faces we're looking at today. So I don't know. I don't believe there's a need there. I'd almost suggest just go ahead to in-person meetings and, you know, wait and see.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. A wait and see. Let's do a wait and see.
I think the need doesn't justify the cost. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, it doesn't.
Jane, correct me if I'm wrong too. The board technically can't participate via Zoom because that doesn't comply with the Open
That's
Meetings
correct.
Act after these emergency orders expire.
Right.
board has to be present.
It seems silly with just as few audience members as we have to invest all that money into it. And we just did it at the township today. We had a special meeting and had some Allegan Road people come in. And I mean, this was not a setup what we would have on the scale of, you know, we were sticking the microphone to Joe's computer, you know, it didn't work great.
Right.
I don't think that microphone to the computer works, so.
No.
I think there's too many keyboard cowboys out there, and if they want to say something, have them come to the meeting.
Right, we had some people kind of crash our Zoom meetings once at the township and start swearing and stuff, and it's just a pain. We had to log out and I'll log back in, and we're lucky we haven't had more of that. So if we can meet in person, and I think that's the best solution.
Eric's right. It's too easy to hide behind a computer.
Mm-hmm.
Say things in an empty room you would never say to somebody's face.
Yeah.
Okay, we're kind of moving into Fireboard comments here, so let's do Fireboard comments. Scott, you got anything else?
No, I do not.
And Stacy, how about you?
I would like to just thank Mike and was it Brian today, and Chief Janik met us, John Helmrich and myself, out at Riverside Drive, and we took a test run of the fire trucks fitting through there because we were looking at a board or a road improvement widening and stuff, and the residents are upset about it, a lot of them. So really thankful that they came out there, and I learned a lot, and I know they were not planning on it, and I really, really appreciate them taking the time, and Chief Janik coming up to our meeting too today. Kind of a last minute thing, so thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, True,
No, I think I'm fine, thank you.
Dan,
Only thing I'd say is maybe for the next board meeting, so that it's there for the record, we have a motion for the board's congratulations to the chief for that award. I think that should go on the record.
Certainly should.
sounds like a proclamation.
Proclamation, that's the word.
Yeah, it's not a motion, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
We'll see what we can't come up with. Eric?
Yeah, two things. Thursday, I think we have a Zoom meeting at 4 o'clock, I believe.
That's
Mhm.
correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
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 I let Chris know that I will be driving in northern Indiana with limited cell service, but I will try to get on.
Okay.
And have it at least on so I can hear and vote and everything else. So just want to give everyone the heads up on that. And secondly, you guys touched on it a little bit about the lights on Blue Star. There's been a lot of chatter on social media about Blue Star, and I know Stacy has commented, and I support her comments. You know, there's a proper way of going about this. A lot of people are talking about the speed on which everyone's driving on Blue Star, and my only question is, I noticed even today there's 2 police cars, one sheriff sitting at the fire department. Would it make sense to park them out front? Maybe slow traffic down if they're not being used. Just a thought.
Right, I know I slow down if I see a car.
Everyone slows down with
Yeah.
a cop car.
Might be a easy solution to part of the problem.
You
Yeah,
see,
you should
you
get
see
the
a lot of
circle.
those, you see a lot of those on the highways between here and Florida, that's the empty squad cars sitting in the medians or alongside the
Yep.
road.
Empty. Yep.
It slows people down.
Mhm.
I'd
Yeah.
be happy to ask him if you like.
Yeah, if you
I think
would.
it's a great
Yeah.
idea.
I've
They
got
may
the
come
keys.
back-
I can just move them.
They may come back to us and say, well, there's a reason why we don't do that. And if there's a legitimate reason, then so be it.
There could be.
Well, I actually think there's one extra police car now because Saugatuck just got a new car. So there may be 1 or 2 extras sitting around. I'm not sure, but that would be something to discuss with Saugatuck.
It might be
Also-
smart to move them around a little bit.
Right. And also, maybe I noticed around town that there's a lot of new traffic control, speed control signs around Saugatuck.
And Douglas.
And I think those were a cheaper model than what we had before. It doesn't look like they collect statistics like the ones we had before. But that might be something we may want to put out there too, because a lot of people don't consciously speed. They're not paying attention. So I think that's just another way to, bring people to. And also there's just a huge increase in traffic on the Blue Star Highway right now.
Amen.
Yes.
And Scott Sullivan also reported incorrectly in the commercial record, and if you read it in the paper, it must be true. Saugatuck does not own any of that intersection. It's all in the township. Saugatuck doesn't pick up until Maple Street. So
Yeah.
it's all in the township. So,
Far be it from me to defend Scott Sullivan, but that was my mistake.
oh, well, sorry, Dan.
All right, Dan.
Okay, Dan, I'm sorry, but you made a mistake. None of it is in Saugatuck. Anyway, Then my other question is, where are we with, this didn't get in the agenda and I was kind of, it was probably my fault. Where are we with the union agreement?
We got a response from our legal representation. We are providing a response back to legal. I finally connected with Jeff today. I tried calling Jeff Friday and Saturday, and it didn't work out. So I did talk to him today, and he's going to be getting a response that addresses I think there were 4 concerns out of the whole collective bargaining agreement. We'll be providing that response. We should have it done by Thursday. There's already a draft response prepared to go to our attorney.
Okay,
Their
so,
attorney they've already compromised. They've already, the union attorney already agreed to our terms.
Okay.
You will probably never see a collective bargaining agreement with performance reviews in there. This board needs to know that. It's unheard of.
But we're
did it.
doing it, correct?
We did it, correct.
Did it. Okay, good. I like that.
There's no mandatory amount each year that disregards performance. I will not be part of that. And my guys were 150% supportive of that.
Good, good. That's good to hear.
okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
I'll make-
motion to adjourn.
And Fox?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Phelps and second by Fox to adjourn the meeting. We have a roll call vote, please.
Sure. At 4:57 PM. Phelps,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes, yes.
Aldrich, Beckman,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
and Verplank.
Yes.
Passes 6-0, ma'am.
All right,
And
thank
just
you.
Thank
A
you.
reminder of the special meeting on Thursday at 4 o'clock, and the agenda should be out sometime tomorrow. So
Okay. So you'll be
Thanks,
thanks,
delivering,
everyone.
Thank you.
All
you'll be
right,
delivering
you.
tomorrow, Chris?